Hello, I'm Blythe Stevens, MFA, Bliss Catalyst, and creator of a Blythe Coach, helping multi-passionate creatives dance through their difficulties and dancing through this summer with some fun creative treats. Happy summer in real time here in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm located right now in Cologne, Germany, and inspired by a couple of other creators, Journals for Breakfast is doing a arts and crafts summer camp at 55, and Victoria Curel Art is doing an arts camp at 45. Hey. And other creators that I've also found on YouTube and online who are pursuing a similar whimsical and often analog concept of a childlike pursuit of summer camp type arts and crafts activities, perhaps also outdoor activities. I'm going to share with you what mine are today. Going to start out a bit meta here, but of course, part of my own summer arts and crafts camp is taking place in my seasonal and quarterly book, and also my annual book of my bullet journal. It is also my memory keeper, my scrapbook, my planner, my journal, my junk journal. So many of the activities actually are already taking place in here and will continue to be, but some will take place outside of this context. As I said, many are analog, and so along those lines, one really whimsical and one of my favorite memories of childhood long summers where it just stretched on so long, you got tons of reading done. I got tons of reading done, is a physical TBR. So I've started out with some decorations. Ooh, this inspiration of a little camp scene is actually from the envelope of a birthday card that I got this year. And I have some fun 3D stickers with little woodland animals gathered around in this camp on a lake. And we'll be doing lots of reading from this physical TBR, which I also have here, other than one, which is somehow on the move. Many of these texts are nonfiction and are not just for this particular summer of 2026, but on my ongoing nonfiction reading list, which I tend to move through slowly. I want to really absorb any nonfiction reading that I'm doing and cross-reference and annotate, and so it takes a bit. For that reason, it is helpful when I have them in physical, but I do increasingly in recent years, in the last 8 years or so, since I had to let go of a lot of books when I moved from Hawaii to Germany, the bulk of the things that I did ship here were books, notebooks, journals, teaching materials, coaching materials, paper. But I did have to minimize paper books. So in more recent years, I have tried to not collect as many physical books, but of course I have quite a few anyway. Being a person that loves reading from a young age. On top we have Hermann Hesse's Schmetterlinge, or Butterflies, a beautiful book which I got from a gift certificate from some of my students a couple of years ago, I think. And it's beautiful because it's a whole collection of writings, poetry and prose, but also gorgeous illustrations of butterflies. And the book that's missing is actually for an associated activity of bird watching. So bird watching, sketching. I have a bird identification book for kids in German, and it also has bird songs, which branches into the digital side too, not just analog, because there is an app where you can play said bird songs and use that sound identification as well as visual identification to identify birds. So I'll of course be learning also the German names for birds that are also located elsewhere, as well as birds that are strictly local here. And along with that, plant and tree identification is always of interest, and I said sketching. So the next book, other than the bird identification book, I have this cute wrapping paper as a cover protector, which continues that whimsical theme, is Singvögel, die man kennen sollte, so songbirds that one should know. And it does have instructions and guides for illustrating, for drawing, mostly with colored pencil, but I might also use watercolor pencils. Those are some of my favorite media, as well as, of course, my fountain pens and inks. I do have other kinds of pencils and pens also available, but that's a fun book and activity. Continuing in the nonfiction category, I have The Notebook, A History of Thinking on Paper by Roland Allen, which I had originally borrowed as an ebook through my library and read on my Kindle. But it just makes sense to have a physical copy of such a book, especially since there's so many illustrations, and I definitely wanted to own it and not just have a license to read it, if you know what I mean. And so I've started analyzing that. This is a new paperback, which is also so fun because, like I said, it's been a while since I had a brand new nonfiction paperback. So that is another nonfiction read, along with one that I've had, several here in the dance category that I've had for a longer time. The Thinking Body, A Study of the Balancing Forces of Dynamic Man by Mabel Ellsworth Todd was recommended to me by one of my grad school professors, Elizabeth Fisher. And so I haven't made my way through it yet, but it is something that I own in hard copy that is quite an older text, since several of my students are right on the brink of being ready to start point work in ballet, and I myself am in a potentially returning to point work, at least in some capacity, journey. I'm actually in real time getting fitted for a new pair of shoes, my first new pair of shoes in decades, this next coming week. So I thought, along with those preparations, it would be a fun time to refresh and read the point book, Shoes, Training, and Technique by Janice Beringer and Sarah Schlesinger. So it's a text I've had for a long time, but haven't actually actively read in a real long time, which is similar to Pas de deux, The Art of Partnering by Anton Dolan, which should be fun because that is the next step in more advanced dancers development, is also learning partnering techniques and using our point work for adagio, so slow movements of partnering, and then eventually the full range of classical and modern dance, modern ballet partnering. And Balanchine's Complete Stories of the Great Ballets, which only goes up until the life of Balanchine, but has a lot of great classical ballets. And the one I'm specifically looking into at this moment is Swan Lake, and exploring a whole theme of swans and birds in classical ballet and dance, and how we represent these natural movements in stylized dance, and in general, flighty inspirations and flighty things like birds, butterflies, insects, their movements, their lives, connects with the nature observation that I'll also be doing. Finally, in the category of dance and in the category of nonfiction, we have Making Video Dance, a step-by-step guide to creating dance for the screen by Katrina McPherson. Also not a new text, but certainly extremely relevant in this era of digital communication, of video. I use video a lot in my work, but always have more room to grow in the medium. So brushing up on some of the basics and thinking of these sort of filmmaking techniques along with choreographic techniques is also a benefit. Do I plan to read all of these books in full? No, not really. This is more of a menu of some of the different areas that I'm exploring that might be related to my work professionally, but are more of a playful curiosity as well, to dive in deeper and to enjoy as well as a creative practice. So I do also have my binoculars at the ready for my bird watching and nature study. And I've got my Swiss Army knife and my magnifying glass for those purposes too, for those explorations in the out of doors, but either out of doors reading on a beach or chilling at home eating some ice cream. My current obsession is mint chocolate chip and also virgin mojitos, so using mojito mix with ice cubes just as a refreshing drink. We've been having heat wave here. But I digress. The fiction reading, a carryover for quite a while. We're slowly working through and continuing to revisit Swallows and Amazons by Arthur Ransom. By we, I mean Ayla and I. I wanted to read it together since this is a book my dad read to me as a child, but she hadn't read before, and maybe we'll watch the series. We'll see. It's a fun summery holiday read, and yeah, a classic for all ages. And yeah, it has adventures and sailing. And I have by Elizabeth Gilbert, The Signature of All Things. We'll see a little pattern here. This is a book I originally borrowed as an ebook from my library on Kindle, and it's not that I was reading slowly because I wasn't enjoying it. I was enjoying it so much that I was reading it really slowly, and of course the loan expired. So I ended up just picking up a inexpensive trade paperback, and I was thinking maybe I would even be willing to share it with others if it's something that's so good I recommend, but we'll see if I'm actually willing to do that or if I keep it. We have a long way to go in this one because other books, which I have on hold and I'm borrowing from the library as ebooks, end up being the priority. So that's the main way that I'm using the Kindle at this point, is not to accumulate books that I own but don't really own, just have a license to read. Instead of accumulating books that way, I do enjoy, especially fiction reading, if I can breeze through a book, then it's much better for me to borrow it for free from the library. And then if it's something of really lasting value that I just have to have in my collection, or I need more time with the text, then I will buy a copy either as a paperback or as an ebook. In this case and the next, the paperback is actually cheaper than an ebook, which we won't get into the politics of that or the business strategy of that. But yeah, also kind of a cute ebook. As I get older, the thing is my eyesight has not improved, and so another advantage of ebooks is that you can adjust the typeface or the print size as large as you like, and I sort of forgot that trade paperbacks have such small print. So anyway, The Signature of All Things, I really was enjoying the start of. It has sort of a naturalistic themes as well, which are perfect in summer. This one too is The Shell Seekers by Rosamund Pilcher. And I actually borrowed it twice from the library. So put it on hold, got it, started reading it, it expired, put it on hold again, waited, started reading it, expired twice. And so I thought I definitely need to own this, and it was €4 for this paperback and would have been 11 for the ebook, so it was an easy decision to just pick up this. I love this edition too. It makes me feel like it's actually a pretty serious, sweeping family drama romance, all very beautiful and not necessarily light read, but it does take place at least part way on the coast and part of the time. And yes, I just love this edition. This is so fun to have a hard copy of that to read this summer. So that is my physical TBR, to be read books in the areas of nonfiction and fiction. I'm excited to pick up these books this summer. Maybe I'll finish some of them. We will see. But I'll certainly be exploring these themes, making connections and cross-referencing between them, allowing it to filter through my writing and journaling practices, into my movement research and choreography practices, and out into my life. I hope you have some fun reading ahead of you this season as well. Let me know what your recommendations are, what kinds of things you might be reading as part of your summer arts and crafts camp, whether you're staying home or traveling, whether it is indeed summer where you are. Just let me know. Thank you for joining me, for watching, and for being together. Take good care of yourself and pay attention until next time.